a lot of videos pointing towards the fact that the market's going to collapse. There's a lot of videos out there right now that are really hinting towards the fact that there isn't any stability in this market, and this market is going to crash. And a lot of them are catch, little catch videos, things like that. Of course, you get the catch titles, the thumbnails, and you get into videos. They're completely different what they're saying. And once again, we are already in the midst of that. Let's be 100% honest. Some people may not understand that. Some people may not see that at that point in time. But currently, we are already in the midst of what I would call a retract in the current market. And basically, what we've seen is we've seen the peaks. You can go to a lot of the, higher end stuff, a lot of the higher end products that you think are out there right now. A lot of the booster boxes have almost gone to a high point and have already retract. This is very similar to what we saw in 2020, 2021. Again, I'm going to refer to that because it's a very similar situation that we have going on right now, where we have product that is continually just kind of going out of control. We aren't getting reprints. We have no product available. We have nothing sitting out there right now that's coming from distributors. We just got a little bit of access to some temporal forces, but to get temporal forces, you've got to buy stupid things. And that's where we're at still in this market, which tells me it's not a very big reprint. If the distributors are willing to sit on it and make people buy this stuff in order to get these things, that's definitely going to be a problem. So like right now, in order for me to get some temporal forces, I have got to buy Battle Academy. Now, how long am I going to sit on Battle Academy? There's not even packs in a Battle Academy in order for me to purchase that in order to be able to sell it, right? It's just going to be dead product. I might as well go and throw it in the dumpster. So once again, distributors are still kind of locking people out when it comes down to certain product. It's still not readily available. Hopefully, we'll continue to see some more bigger reprints coming here. I know Prismatic, a lot of people are predicting it's going to get printed to the ground coming up here in the near future. Do I think that we're going to see it that? The headache really is, I don't know. I wish I could tell you that we were going to see these massive reprints. We were going to see this big change and shift in the market where we're going to see all of this product just all of a sudden show up on our doorstep, and we're going to have more product than we know what to do with again. We're going to be able to pick and choose what we want to open. We're going to be able to pick and choose what we want on the shelves at Walmart again, going back to 2023 where everything was available, even through Sword and Shield and on through. But do I realistically think that that's going to happen? I don't know. Can I say with 100% certainty that we're going to see that? I'm not getting it. I mean, the problem is that talking to distributors, distributor managers, my account managers at my distribution, talking to other individuals in the hobby, talking to some bigger names, none of them are really screaming gigantic reprint. We know stuff's coming. We know that there's going to be restock reprints coming here in the near future of like Prismatic. We know that's coming for Surging Sparks. We know that it's coming for, or Temporal Forces. There's supposed to be more coming. There's supposed to be potentially, once again, I can't get any from my account managers. None of them will say it, but I've heard it online that Twilight Masquerade is getting a reprint. So whether or not that's true or not is definitely up in the air, and how much we're going to get onto it is really going to be a factor for what occurs in this market in the next few months. The bigger issue that we have right now is still the lack of print, the lack of product. I don't care if we have a ton of streamers. I don't care if we have a bunch of collectors. I don't care if we have a bunch of investors in this market. If you cannot find any of these products available on the shelf, then you're going to be in this kind of situation. If Pokemon does not reprint, the market's going to continue to move up slowly. We're seeing that initial push. Like I said, I'm going back to 2020, 2021. We had that gigantic push where it like just flew. And I mean, it went straight up like we've been seeing right now. And then it took this little bit of a dip and it kind of retracted. And we saw another little peak going through Shining Fates into the first round of Battle Styles simply because we weren't getting product. There again, another situation where you weren't getting product to quelch what was out there. We were just living on the next set that was released and the next set that released and the next set that released rather than you getting product. And it really took until through Chilling Reign, it was the same thing. We had this really flat market when it came down to what people were willing to pay for the older sets, but we weren't really topped out when it came down to the newer sets, and the newer sets were completely off and out and running. And that is a really interesting thing that we are continuing to see again in 2025, which it's really interesting how much this is really mirroring what we saw in 2021. Now, the interesting thing is to me is still the factor that in 2020, 2021, a lot of people put this growth, this explosion, and really threw all of this stuff as the reasonings that this was occurring, was because of the stimmy checks. Remember everybody saying this is stimmy Pokemon now, this is stimmy money, this is stimulus money, pushing this money out there, and that's why people are doing it. What's the excuse in 2024 and 2025? There is no stimmy money, right? Actually, a lot of people are saying we're in a bad economy, that the economy isn't secure. Cost of living inflation is so much higher. But, when you sit there and look at and analyze that part of it, why would people be spending money on Pokemon? Well, let's be 100% honest. We're hearing all over the place. There's less travel right now. People are taking less family trips. People are taking and buying less expensive things. The home markets are kind of starting to fall. So if we're watching the news on that, we're now starting to see a retract on what people are willing to pay for homes, and people aren't. The sales market is down a little bit across a lot of the country right now. Not all of it. There's still hot spots. There's still things that are doing well. But in general, we're starting to see that shrinkage in the actual economy due to inflation, but yet people are still willing to put it into Pokemon. And I think some people are taking that travel and fun money, and my wife and I even talked about it. If it wasn't for the business side of Pokemon, we probably wouldn't be taking trips this year either. Our goal is to get to North Carolina again this year for Charlotte, North Carolina with Collecticon. We're going to be going to Chicago possibly twice this year. Those are expenses that are fairly easy to incur even personally, but there again, as a family, instead of us taking a family trip, like in June, my family's going to take a trip with my extended family, and we were all going to go meet somewhere. And with it not being kind of a business thing and me being able to kind of write it off, we kind of went, it's really not a good time for us to take that out of personal accounts, because the personal accounts are getting tighter while, the business accounts are still doing well. And that's an interesting thing is that, this year, once again, the bigger goal is to try and my goal as a business is to try and break that 100,000 mark. And that's a big factor too. As you saw in the video, we were about 89,000 this year. So we were getting close to that six figures. Pokemon business wise, I still like to grow that next, 20% and push us over that $100,000 mark. And I'd like to see about 150, but we'll see how it goes. So far, we're on track. It's looking pretty good for the opportunities right now. There is definitely some movement in this market, but it could also come down to one massive reprint could really make that difficult as well, to where it's not going to be easy to do that. So yeah, it's going to be fun. And one thing too, I did see a couple comments on that video where people were talking about the fact that it was like you were 1 year over year, you only made 15%. Be honest with you, for most markets, 15% is fairly well, but you got to remember also that total that came out of there is business numbers. So that was after we did our taxes and got everything done. That was the take home that we were able to put into the business, and that money even got rolled over in this year to more product. So overall, that's not including travel expenses, going to Collecticon, doing business and networking and those kind of things either, that are all covered by this. So once again, there was more benefits to this 17,000 out of that, but basically we made 15% profit last year, which is to me a pretty nice goal when it comes down to business operation for really, really working about 6 hours a week. This is fun. To me, TikTok, or YouTube anymore, I don't even consider this work. This is just fun. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy talking about the information that comes through, what's currently happening in this market, what we're seeing when it comes down to the distribution and what kind of market we're looking at on that. And talking about the market and what's going on in distribution and things like that, I also have a special guest that I got to contact again. I'm trying to get in here probably in March. Someone from our past, someone that some people may have forgotten, someone that I've even criticized in the past, and we'll talk about that probably in the live as well. But it's going to be kind of interesting to see what people's reaction is to that. So it could be kind of controversial for who's coming in, but you know what? It's always fun to have an interesting view and to see where things go. So once again, we're going to be looking at that, and it could be fun. I think it's going to be an interesting time, good discussion when it comes down to that. And what's going on in distribution, what's going on in the market, what's being seen from a different perspective in this market. Once again, that's what I've always liked about this channel, is to try and push those different perspectives on what's actually occurring and what's happening in this current market. So another perspective is always a good thing. So overall, do I think this market's on the verge of crash? Do I think Journey Together is going to be the set that sinks the ship? With Team Rocket coming right behind it, no. I don't think with Team Rocket coming on the heels of Journey Together, the first half of the Team Rocket set is about to release in Japan. That release is going to be gigantic when it comes down to it, sounds like. So I'm trying to get some of that product for the Japanese side. But once again, if you're looking at the market and why it's going to collapse, what is going to cause this market to collapse at the end of Journey Together? And that's one of the things that just really needs to be looked at is why would Journey Together be the one that sinks the ship? Why is Journey Together a lot of people predicting the point? And the only reason that Journey Together could really cause that situation, and let's really break it down what the thought process would be on why that would occur, is people would just be tired with Pokemon because there isn't any available, right? That's realistically what a lot of people are thinking with Journey Together, and that's going to be the catalyst that's going to send people over the edge. But in general, I think that if people are already on the edge, they're already gone. I think the people in it are now to the point where 2021, early 2021, we were pack hunting all over the place. I actually liked it. It was fun. It was a bit more of a challenge than just going to the store and buying whatever you want. It gets old after a while, I will say that. You do tend to slow down and spend less on Pokemon, but there isn't as much to buy unless you're buying online or finding other sources. And once again, for people that are serious about number one, Pokemon business, or number two, about investing, or number three, collecting, it puts an atmosphere where it's fun. So even my collection pieces that I purchased through that time frame, I tend to remember them more. Why do I like this particular item? Why do I like this Flareon tin and remember that I purchased that at a Walmart on some random restock when I walked in and purchased it back in May of 2021. It was because of the fact that it was interesting that it showed up and it gave you that more memorable experience with that collection piece to be able to get that Flareon at that Charizard EX. I'm not going to remember where I got that thing from. It don't really matter, right? You could find these things. I could go right now and find these at my local card shop sitting there right now. There's so many of them available out there that it's just very easy to get. Same thing with any of these ETBs and stuff. Yeah, they're Pokemon Center ETBs. They weren't that hard. It's just not hard. Celebrations or UPCs are going to be more memorable because for a collection piece, it gets you that tie-in and that nostalgic piece of it that you enjoy. And that's where we're going to be looking at sometimes too for the long term. Those are the things that ingrain in for the long term that can really make this hobby better as well. Even though it's tough times build stronger people. And when you get stronger people in the hobby, it can actually look really well. Look at what it did in 2020 and 2021. There's always this predictions that this market was going to collapse and that everybody was going to leave. It's going to sink. It's going to go worse than black and white. Or 2010. It's going to go all the way down to where there's hardly anybody left in this hobby. And what is going to, save this hobby? And realistically, it created some very strong personalities in this hobby. It created some really strong overall growth and opportunity for people to have longevity in this hobby. We saw people that were just doing this as a hobby turn it into full-time businesses and continue to do these full-time businesses all the way through these hard times or the easy times of finding product. So even though it's hard times to find product now and it's really hard to sometimes find the collection pieces you're looking for or the cards that you're looking for, in general, sometimes this builds stronger characters in this hobby to where we can see success long term. It makes people want to stay, right? Because when the hobby then gets easy to find things, it's more fun because you can open whatever you want and not have to sit there and look for it. But on the other hand, it also gives you that remembrance of how hard it was to find stuff. You feel like your old granddad. Remember back in 2021 when we couldn't find product anywhere and we had to fist fight in the store for a pack of Chilling Reign? You get them kind of situations that just give you that memory. And a lot of times when it comes down to a collectible hobby, why do people stay in the collectible hobby? A lot of time it's that memory, that nostalgic of what happened in there. Why did I come back to Pokemon? Because I enjoyed it back in 1999. I remember going to tournaments. I remember opening these packs. I remember having fun with all these people and getting the pewter gym badges for winning these tournaments at Sam Goody. That's no longer even in business, I don't think, anymore, and is definitely not in business where it was. But I remember sitting out in front with people I knew, enjoying that hobby and growing, and that's what really grows and makes a sustainable hobby, I think. Back in 2020 and 2021, I may not have understood that as well, but now being in this hobby for this many years now and enjoying it as much as I have, it's really become a more cohesive front on a lot of the hobby. Not all of the hobby, of course. We're not going to be doing, I can't say that, but once again, I think that there's reprints coming. Do I think that Journey Together is going to be the end of the line? No, I think we're going to stay in this kind of flatline state at this point, unless we see some massive reprints of even like Surging Sparks. But my fear is that Surging Sparks reprint is coming a little bit late for the hype and FOMO on that, especially right on the heels is going to be the Team Rocket set coming up here. We're going to probably be seeing announcements for that here in the near future. And when that occurs, that's really going to change that dynamic as well. So are people going to sit there and spend a bunch of money? And distributors aren't going to be giving this out for free either, because just like every other set, they bump it almost up to MSRP. So for example, a lot of stuff that comes through on the second print, it ends up being higher, and it ends up being about 20 to 30% higher on the second print than it was on the first print, which means that the prices in the stores or in these shops and everything are not going to go down. They might actually go up a little bit, or they'll come down from the high now, but they won't go all the way down to like MSRP. They're going to fall somewhere in between, because people are going to have to buy it from distributor at a higher price, or they're going to have to buy 10 boxes of Battle Academy in order to be able to get these things. And that's definitely something to consider when we're looking at that right now. So overall, I don't think the Journey Together is going to be the end of the line, guys. I just don't see that being the case. Journey Together, we've obviously already know that we are not getting the amount of reprint that we are really looking for when it comes down to that particular set. Danny Phantoms made that clear. I think I've even heard Pokemart USA say that that's the case. I've seen a lot of other big, Football Pete's even doing it. I mean, he's selling them at $198 right now for those particular products as well. So, once again, we're not going to be seeing these massive reprints that are going to necessarily change the scope. I think we're going to be seeing some reprints coming, but as of right now, I'm just not. I'm not seeing any kind of massive reprints at this point. At least I'm not hearing about them. I mean, even distributors aren't hearing of any massive reprints at this point in time. I hope they would. I honestly hope that they would. Number one, for my investment, it really wouldn't hurt. I'd like to pick up some cheaper product to fill in and maybe cost dollar average some of that investment down a little bit, because it was expensive. Let's be 100% honest. We paid more for this stuff. We weren't buying $70 booster boxes in the last months. I mean, even in Scarlet Violet, it was only about 95 at the 90 at the lowest, and some of them was about 85. If you use some coupons and some tricks and knew some people, you could probably get it for 80, 85. But in general, most of it stayed around 90. A lot of the newer sets, starting from like Twilight Masquerade on, you never really saw them go much below MSRP or below 140. So if you could see some massive reprint to really draw that down, where you can cross dollar average some of that down and get it back down to that $120 booster box, I think there's some really good value on that. And that's where we're going to be continuing to see things in the near future, and how things perform are definitely going to come down to the reprint factors. How much can we draw this down? Can they produce enough to draw it down, or are they just going to do a light reprint, see if it sells? If it doesn't, then they won't do any more. And if it does, then they'll just maybe do another small reprint. Maybe we'll get into the terms where we start seeing these wave systems again. And a lot of people probably don't remember that in this current hobby, where we had wave systems back in Sword and Shield. So starting at about Vivid Voltage on, we were getting these waves where you'd get wave 1, 2, and 3. So your allocations would be split into thirds, and you'd get 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, rather than getting all of it at the first wave, which really sucked for a business or for sales, because then you were forced to really take the first one, get as much money as you could on that second one, or the on that wave, and then the second wave would come and it wouldn't sell as good because people were losing interest in that set, and then you'd have all the stuff. Same thing. That's why Chilling Reign, why Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, all of those sets all got grouped together. Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, all of them got like this massive just dumping of product. And it took, I mean, all these booster boxes were like $75, $80 for a Chilling Reign booster box, $72 for Battle Styles booster boxes. Fusion Strike was down to $90. Evolving Skies was down to $99 for a few weeks. And you get an opportunity to really scarf that up and really build your thing. That could be something we see at this point in time. If you think a set is going to be successful, if you see a reason why people love that set, then that may be the point in time to jump in on it and get in on them sets. So if we do these massive reprints. So Surging Sparks. Do you think Surging Sparks is going to be a great set in 10 years? Do you think people are going to be after that Pikachu, the Molotech, or some of the other artworks inside of that particular set? If so, if that box were to drop down from 140, I don't think it ever went below 140 on the market. Let's say it did go down to 115 or 120. Do you think that there's value in that particular set? Twilight Masquerade, do you think that Greninja Chase is going to be strong enough, and Eevee Chase is going to be strong enough in 10 years to warrant putting that kind of money into that set? Any of the sets. And that's what you got to really analyze when it comes down to them. In 10 years, what are people going to want out of that set? What's going to be the chase? Burning Shadows. You can go back to Burning Shadows. Well, of course, Charizard. Duh. It's pretty easy, right? You can go back to tag team sets. Why are all those tag team sets really sought after? Well, number one, you have a lot of fan favorite Pokemon in all of those sets, regardless of which one you pick. Unified Minds, Unbroken Bond, Team Up, or Cosmic Eclipse. Tons of fan favorite Pokemon. Plus, then you get the opportunity of having 2 fan favorite Pokemon on 1 card. That's why those sets became very popular and still are very popular. Why I think the tag team sets are still going to hold a very good value futuristically is because of the fact that that's the only place to get those 2 up favorite Pokemon on 1 card, like Gengar and Mimikyu. Awesome, perfect card. I love that card. Latios and Latias, two favorite Pokemon on 1 card in a really cool design. Same thing. We can go Blastoise and Flip Up, 2 really hot water starters. Bam, right there on 1 card. All of these things are things that you got to be looking at too when you're looking at resale value and why something will gain value in the future. So when these reprints do come, if they come, if we get massive reprints, there might be your opportunity to get on some of these sets that you would never really had an opportunity to do the first time. And because hype and FOMO has kind of shifted away from them, that might be a great time to jump in on those set and actually get them into your investment if that's what you're looking for. So keep an eye on that. Keep a look on what's happening on that. I think there's some really good things happening. I don't think the market's going to collapse after Journey Together. I mean, I use the thumbnail, of course, with the down arrow and everything, the bear, everything going on it, because once again, you're looking at that clickbait function when it comes down to that particular item. So that's what we were looking at, and that's what you're doing on YouTube. But in general, I think that this isn't going to stop and Journey Together. We're in a flat area now. Because, I mean, I can go through and just for example, let me just pull open a couple cards I was going to look at here. If we take a look at, even if we go to the Bubble Mew, perfect example, Bubble Mew. Bubble Mew kind of spiked out, so I know a lot of people follow that one. So if we go to the Bubble Mew right now, we take a look at what it's actually doing currently. We had that big uptick, and then it kind of went up to almost $1,100 for that particular PSA 10. Now we're on kind of a retract, and now we're down to about $950, but it's kind of stabilized right now at about $950. It's kind of been there for the last 4 days now without any 920, 950 for that particular card. So once again, we've kind of fallen into a rhythm on that card where we found a kind of a stall point. So does that mean that it's not going to go up anymore? Well, no. And it could. What we could see is what we call another spike. So we've got a spike, we've gone up. Now we're retracting a little bit, which is typical market function that we're seeing. The only difference is people are used to seeing it on like one item. So it's like Umbreon all of a sudden does that. So everybody's watching Umbreons and it shoots and then it does this. Now we're seeing this like on the whole market. You're seeing it like a big plateau up and then back down. And then, some people are using that as a freak out point. While I just see it as it's just normal market growth and it comes down to the overall performance. Could I see the Bubble Mew retracting back down to 800? Yes, I could. I honestly think that I don't know why that card in particular has spiked so high so fast. We literally went from a $590 card to an $1,100 card, a $600 gain in just over a month. So the acceleration on that was absolutely insane. And now there's getting more of it out there too. So the population on it's been growing. I've been watching this population. It was at about 6,000 here a couple weeks ago. Now it's almost up to 8,000. So we're getting 2,000 more of these just in the last week or so. So that's another factor on why that card is particularly acting that way. But we can take a look at even sealed product as well. So if you want to go ahead and jump into, let's just say, Twilight Masquerade. So let's just pull open a booster box of Twilight Masquerade. I don't know. I'm just randomly grabbing some sets here. So I don't know how this is performing. It's not like this is like preset. So we can take a look and see how Twilight Masquerade has been doing in the last month. And we might be seeing a very similar trend when it comes down to the performance of that, if my computer will actually function. But while this is loading up, make sure you guys hit that like button as well as you guys are in here. I see there's about 20 people watching. Hit that like button, help out the stream a little bit, and let's see if we can keep this thing rocking and rolling, guys. Why are you not opening? So hopefully we can get this open here. I just want to pick Twilight Masquerade because it had a lot of popularity to it, and overall it shot up really quick with the performance of that Greninja. And here we go. Now it's loading. We're good. So if we take a look at the last 6 months of this particular set, once again, we're kind of going up. We had that up there in January. We came back down through February. It kind of stagnated, and now we're starting to see a little bit of climb here. But on eBay, it has not. eBay has actually been spiked, and now it's flat. So eBay is following like the current trend. TCG players getting a little bit more of a spike. And actually, another set, you're seeing about a $40 disparity between eBay and TCG player right now, just so you're aware also. because the recent sales on, so this is today, so there's been sales on this today, the 25th. So as of the 25th, 164, 187, 172, 140, 160. So we're seeing some sales of that down a little bit on that particular set on eBay, while TCG Player is going the other way. So it's just, like I said, it's like the market went up, it's correcting, it's kind of coming down, it's doing its normal correction. And overall, that's what we're looking at when it comes down to a typical market. So hype and FOMO blew it up. Now we're getting a correction, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Do I think the market's about to collapse? No. I don't think we're at that point. I do think Nostalgianomics, I'm going to throw him out there, is probably right on the graded card side of things, because I think that that's going to continue to be something that we need to look at as well. So if you're looking at that graded card market, if you haven't already shifted into it at this point, and I know I've talked about how I've been shifting back into it again this year as well, and I know that I'm not the only person. So if I'm downshifting and going back to graded cards because of the fact I can't get product, that means that probably I'm going to throw a number out there. 100,000 people are doing the exact same thing. So once again, can we take the potential of overloading PSA again and getting long delay, like 6-month delays on PSA? Could happen. I mean, we definitely could have it. I know a lot of people have been sitting on some cards. GameStop opening up like it has really opened up another window or an avenue to where this could be a thing. And whether or not that's going to continue is definitely going to be interesting as well. Is GameStop going to hold their pricing at $16.99? That's the other question that I have is GameStop going to adjust their pricing as time goes on? Are they going to raise prices if PSA raises their prices up to try and slow that down? Are they going to raise their prices to slow that down? Or are they going to say it's $16.99? Are they going to go to $19.99? Are they going to, these are really things that we're going to see that's going to be interesting as well for the grading aspect. Because that's exactly how I think PSA, with the new managers that they have and the new CEOs that took over right when that stuff was happening, is definitely going to be on top of it about trying to manage that. I did let my PSA membership lapse this year. I just, once again, I hadn't used it enough to make it make sense for the $99. It's too much bulk for me. I'm still doing small numbers rather than large quantities like I used to do. Could I do that large quantity? Yes. Do I want to do that large quantity? No. I don't like tying up all that capital right now in the graded cards. And my other fear is that with that $99 membership, here's my biggest worry is that I pay $99 for that membership, and then PSA puts a 1-year lead time on those cards. Is there any value for me for 1 year if I'm paying $100 for membership and I've got 500 cards stuck in process for 1 year? It's not a good situation. GameStop option is definitely a way for me to save a few bucks. For number one, I can send smaller quantities more often if I want. I can also, as one gets back, I can, shift through really quickly and be able to keep loading those up and moving them through. So there's definitely a lot of different options when it comes down to right now. I know some people don't like GameStop. I'm not going to say it's for everybody. I'm really getting the feeling that it depends on what store you're in when it comes down to how that's operating, even like the going to MSRP. So I see Bro Professor Oak just said it's already $18.99 at GameStop. Mine still says $16.99, but I haven't taken a new submission. I was actually going to go this weekend, so I will see if I can verify that this weekend. But I do know some of them have been changing. Like I saw some GameStops are charging now market price on products. So instead of them charging just the standard MSRP, they're now charging market pricing on products. So interesting dynamics. Mine is not doing that. So I can tell you right now that our GameStop that I go to is not changing or not charging market pricing. So it seems like it's up to the store managers. The store managers are definitely driving that, and it seems like that's where that whole part is coming from. Do I think that that's going to be a nationwide thing at some point? I don't know. I don't think so. So I'm kind of interested with Professor Oak's comment there where it's already $18.99. Still $18.99. Oh, hello from Rice Lake. So he's from Rice Lake. So apparently it must have changed. So I have not been there. So online, if I look on the online submission, mine still says $16.99. So if he's in Rice Lake, that's where I go to. So we're at the same GameStop. So if it's $18.99, then it'll be $18.99 for me. Kind of funny. We go to the same one. But yeah, I've had really good luck with ours. I've said now I'm on my 4th submission, and One of them's received, one of them's in assembly, the other one is getting shipped there. So I've got 4 out there, and I've had very, very good success going through GameStop. So not really too concerned with the overall with that one. But I have heard horror stories of cards disappearing, high valued cards going away when they're going to be shipped. And that's definitely something that's going to be interesting to see which GameStops start getting like tagged for that issue, and if that issue is occurring more and more often. Um, so let's see. I went for 30 minutes on my rant. That's a lot longer. I'm going to acknowledge the chat like I always do, and then I'm going to go over some of the questions. I did see a couple of the questions here, and I actually want to get to the one for Dash at the bottom there, so we'll get to that one in a minute. But we got Hitus here. Thank you so much, Hitus, and thank you for being number 1 in the chat. Greatly appreciated. We got Pokey New Flow exclusive here this evening. Greatly appreciate to have you. Frank Nitty, thank you so much for finally catching us live. So you finally caught alive, and thank you so much for being here. iFOMO, as always, thank you so much for being in here. John Doring, thank you so much for being in here as well. Glad to see you back. It's been a while since I've seen some chats from you, but always appreciate them. Antonio, thank you so much for coming in. Glad to have you. Ancient Crypto here, Antonio, and that should be it. Besides Professor Oak, thank you guys so much for everybody joining in. Really appreciate it, as always, for having you in here. So I'm going to go with Dash's little comment here at the bottom. And so he's got 2 of them. Let's see it crash. I need cheap product to open, LOL. He says, what caused people to lose interest in Pokemon after the pandemic? There was a couple things that I would really say were the factors for that. And the number one factor that you're going to probably be looking at is the amount of product produced by the Pokemon TCG. They did a big shift at the end of Scarlet or Sword and Shield, where they started to produce a lot of product and doing multiple reprints of sets. So like Brilliant Stars, Lost Origins, Silver Tempest, all got fairly decent reprints. Even Fusion Strike did. What really, really set people off on what really put people down in Pokemon at the end of 2021, 2022 there, at the beginning of 2022, was realistically the massive reprint that we got. A lot of people and scalpers were banking on the fact that they could go to the store, buy, like this sleeve of Surging Sparks. They could go there for $5. They could go whip this thing onto Craigslist, eBay, or TCG Player, and they can sell it for $9 right now. And that product would be gone because so many people were trying to chase these big chase cards in these sets because there was such a low volume of them with the production issues that were going on with Pokemon TCG. So basically, you had a production issue from Pokemon TCG or Pokemon International, and then on top of it, we had scalpers with the low product taking advantage of that and pushing the product out at a very high price. So what we saw was in October of 2021 a massive reprint of product, and I mean massive, to the point where a lot of stores were trying to figure out how they were going to pay the bills because everything that they had ordered, and they even treated the stores kind of bad on that one as well, is they literally went, okay, you ordered this, we printed Battle Styles to order. That's why Battle Styles really got crushed. Do I think Battle Styles is a decent set? It's all right. I mean, at T-Tar, if that was a lower volume, if you were to do Battle Styles at Scarlet and Violet levels of print, I think it would do really well. The problem was with Battle Styles is that everybody ordered 4x what they would normally order to try and get Battle Styles because they were getting cut on their allocation. So basically, like Prismatic Evolutions, people were ordering 1,000 ETBs of Prismatic Evolutions and they were getting 200 ETBs. So what they ended up doing is, and that happened through Darkness Ablaze, that happened in Vivid Voltage, that happened in Shining Fates, and what happened was in stores for Battle Styles went, okay, we're going to play this game. I'm going to want 1,000 of them. I'm going to order 4,000 ETBs because I want 1,000 of them for my store, and my allocations get cut by 4 every single time I buy. So I'm going to order 1,000 of these booster boxes or 4,000 of these boxes because I want 1,000. Pokemon International pulled the Mickey and went, okay, we're going to print all of the allocations that are out there that were not filled. We're going to print them. So people got literally a ton of Battle Styles, just boatloads of Battle Styles. Same thing with Chilling Reigns. Same thing with the Evolving Skies, is that they pretty much got all these orders that were just tons of allocation. And because they ordered it, the distributors went, hey, guess what? this is yours, and they shipped it to him. Now you could deny it. So that was the thing is that a lot of places said that, hey, you can deny this allocation if you don't want to take it, but if you deny it, you are going to lose allocation next time. We're going to cut your allocation if you don't take what you ordered. So a lot of these stores were put in a bad situation. Mason and I have talked about that before. I've talked to my local LCS about that, where actually I purchased a lot of product for because of that fact that people were basically LCSs and orderers were forced into taking a large quantity of product. So that's why I got Evolving Skies 10 cases for $99 a booster box inside of those cases. I bought Chilling Reign at like $80 a booster box. I bought Battle Styles at $72 the booster box just because they couldn't afford it. They needed operating capital, and they were willing to just sell it to me at bare minimum costs in order to make money on it. So that was the situation that we were in, and that really killed the scalpers and made product readily available at the end of Sword and Shield, and thus a lot of people lost interest because of the fact that there wasn't money involved, and that's why we had that clean out dash. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a foresight for what really occurred at that point in time and why people started to lose interest and what may happen again. A lot of times when people see money and dollars are involved, people are all in. They're just all into it. People that enjoy the hobby and enjoy what's going on and find a way to just work with whatever we got because we enjoy it tend to just don't care. It is what it is. Money's great. If I can make money, of course I want to make money. That's what we all do in life, right? I want to make money so that I can work less at something else and that I can have fun doing what I want. But in general, the fact is that I love Pokemon regardless. And I know some people say that if it has no value, I wouldn't want it. I'm the type of guy that I'd just go, if it was free in a dumpster, I'd go take it out of a dumpster. I enjoy the cards. I enjoy Pokemon. I enjoy playing Pokemon. I really don't care if it has a huge monetary value. Of course, for investment side, I want value to it. But if it did go to zero, I'd still open every one of the booster boxes and just enjoy the hobby because that's what we do. But yeah, you're going to see a mass drive out again if we get a massive reprint like we did in 2021 in November there, or in October of 2021. You're going to see kind of the same situation. You're going to see this mass drive out of people because there's no money involved. And that's where a lot of people lost interest back in Sword and Shield as well. Granted, the interest came back. I mean, it just takes time sometimes to build back up and get new people in here, of course, as well. So hopefully that answers that. I see. Thank you very much for the insightful response. You're welcome. Yeah, like I said, it's just a little bit of a history on that. But that's definitely something that we could definitely see again happen here in the market. Pika Dead Chew, how you doing, bud? Glad to have you in alive. I'm glad you finally caught me. Hopefully you've been doing well. Seeing some familiar faces all coming back. We got John Doring in here as well, so thank you so much. Let's see. Hitus says, went to a local show and noticed a lot of sports stores are doing Pokemon right now. Yes, tons of them. There's a couple stores down in Eau Claire that I go to that were strictly sports cards, and now they are selling Pokemon and selling it at scalper price. I mean, just stupid prices. So yeah, no, it's becoming a big thing. Sports, this is something else that happened during 2020 and 2021. Sports cards got involved into it, and once again, they drive the prices up because there's less product available for the shops and stuff. So the price would go up because you're spreading that out between other places that are looking for that stuff. So yeah, it's really interesting on that fact how overall that it's all over. And I don't think that it's right, but there's nothing you can do about it. Distributors are going to sell to the biggest accounts who have money. They're not going to make a $100,000 a year account mad because, my little $5,000 a month account is complaining about something. They really don't care about me. If there's extra, I get the scraps. The big guys are going to get what they want. But even someone like Danny Phantom, I mean, his numbers got cut too on Journey Together. I think he said he put in for 750 and he got 500. So his numbers got cut by a third as well. So it's a real issue that, the more sports cards people that get involved, the more that we see these allocations continue to get cuts for the actual normal people in the hobby. Let's see. Frank says, yo, finally caught alive. I FOMO eating this popcorn. Very good. Hopefully you're doing good on your classes. John, oh damn, bring on Nostalgianomics. Yeah, I'm not doing that. We're not going that way. I mean, I've talked to Alex about coming on and having a discussion, but we just haven't worked it out. It's kind of like we talk about it for a couple of minutes and then we kind of forget about it and then we kind of move on someplace else. So, I'm always welcome to him coming on. I have no problem with Alex. I've always liked having conversations with Alex. Do I agree with every point in the way that he presents it? Not always, but I do think that he has some really good information, and I still think he has good points. I do still watch his content. I think he does really well, and I think that there are some really good points to what he says. Once again, though, don't use one source as your only source. I don't expect anybody to just use me as your only source. I don't use me as my only source. I'm using other people's information too, and I put together what works best for me based on all kinds of information. More data points you can get, the more successful you can be. John says, I wish they would print one of these sets into the ground so it brings the market back down. They need to print more. I think we need to see the last 3 sets just printed to death. That would be the absolute best. He'll be live on, Pikachu just said, he'll be live on my channel on Saturday. We booked it before all of his press, LOL. Yeah. Yeah, that's all right. You'll be okay, Pikachu. He'll be a good live. You always have a good live. You always have some good information. So if you're doing, what time are you going to be on there on Saturday? Do you have a time, Pikachu? I'll make sure I put a reminder on my phone. That way I catch it. I'd like to sit down and listen. Our Agent Crypto says, hello, lads. Thoughts on almost every SB set already hitting $200 per box. It's just a crazy market right now. I mean, overall, lack of product. And it's not going to get any, from what I can tell, it's not going to get any better anytime soon. So I know some, like I said, we talked about earlier, Agent Crypto. If you want to go watch the beginning, we talked about why we're here and do I think that we're going to see a massive crash? And you can go back and watch that part of it as well. Antonio says, plenty of Pokemon sets have been short printed before, so it might be happening again. Yeah, this isn't the first time these things have happened. I mean, this is actually almost the 3rd time that this has happened. I mean, people forget about the XY. Every time we have a boom, something changing that brings people in, these sets don't get short printed. Even Surging Sparks, according to the MJ Holding rep, was not, even my sources say that they weren't short printed. Short printing came from the internet. Basically, that he made that clear. When it comes down to the word short printing, the one from Southern Hobby made it absolutely clear to me that he said he never heard that Surging Sparks was short printed until it came out on the internet. He saw it on Reddit and he saw it on YouTube with people saying that it was short printed. Now, who started that trend? I don't know. I have no idea where that actually started from. I mean, I know one of the videos it came from, and I'm not going to go there, but according to MJ Holding, according to Southern Hobby, they got the exact same amount of product for Paradox Rift, Obsidian Flames, Temporal Forces, Twilight Masquerade, Stellar Crown, and Surging Sparks. They got all the exact same. So it's like Pokemon right now is printing the exact same thing. And they've got the exact same amount as Prismatic Evolutions as they did Shrouded Fable. So they are literally baseline printing right now. So, and that's coming from the account manager at MJ Holding, or the account manager at Southern Hobby. And that's coming from the sales rep from MJ Holding that I ran into, is that he's the regional manager for MJ Holding. He was just filling in for someone. So I was talking to him a little bit and ended up catching him on the restock because he was off on a weird shift and I wasn't expecting him there, and I ran into him. Different person than what is normally there. So, but yeah, according to them, they've gotten the exact same amount of product. It's just a matter of dispersion of where this is going. It goes so fast that it disappears really quick. And what stores get it, they've decided which stores are going to get more based on sales, but they're getting the same amount of product. Nothing's really changed. And I don't know if that's going to change on Journey Together. From what I can tell, no. The only difference is more people are taking out of the pot. That's the issue is that you go to Shrouded Fable. If Pokemon baseline printed that, more people just grabbed out of the pot. Because now you got sports people and you've got people double ordering and trying to get more of it. So more people were pulling out of the pot. Surging Sparks, I can tell you the 2 weeks before Surging Sparks, 3 weeks before Surging Sparks, literally not MJ, I keep saying MJ Holding. Southern Hobby contacted me. My account manager at Southern Hobby contacted me and asked me if I would take more ETBs. He called me asking me if I wanted more Surging Spark ETBs. And I took more. I took more 3 weeks prior to the release of that set. And I took from my one side one, I also took another case from them because they called up and said, we'll give you $1 off an ETB if you take an extra. If you take extra. They were trying to get rid of Surging Sparks at one point because nobody was buying it until someone started yelling, short print, short print, short print. Once that word came out, everybody bought. And that's what they said. It was like the week after I bought or added those ETBs to my order and said I'd take them, someone yelled short print, and everybody was buying Surging Sparks, and they didn't know why, and they had no idea why all of a sudden their phones were ringing off the hook that this stuff was short printed. So it's a really, really, really interesting factor when that occurs. Now, who started that? I don't know. I don't know where that all started. I haven't really taken the time to track it down, nor do I care, because it made really good sales for me. I was actually able to sell Surging Sparks ETBs at MSRP, which is crazy for ETB releases. It seems like whenever you buy, I was hesitant about buying them because typically I can't sell ETBs for more than like $5 more than what I pay for them. So I was looking at it going, I could tear them down for $31. I could tear them down and take the 9 packs out of them and stream them rather than doing it the other way. So yeah, it's interesting how these markets will change and how certain information that gets out that may not necessarily be factual can really determine how well this hobby reacts to these situations. And that's a perfect example of it. Let's see. Frank Nitty, I just want to find products in the wild. I'm not picky. Yeah, I mean, that's how a lot of people are. A lot of people just want to open packs. Some people just like the chance and the gamble of opening packs, and that's exactly a situation that it's going to take patience. I think it's going to come back. We're going to see more product. Pokemon is eventually going to rev up, or they're just going to massively reprint stuff, and one of those two things may happen, and you'll see some in the wild. Let's see. We're going to go here. Yeah, I already went through dashes. So Antonio says, if you look at the cases on TCG Player, there's not many on sale for certain sets. Yeah, they're getting pretty dried up. The problem is that even for the business side of things, that's why I'm starting to go to graded cards again. I was getting away from graded cards. That was not on my bingo card for 2025, was starting to do graded cards again. I wanted to try GameStop, so I did one at GameStop. Going back to the graded card market was not something that was on my bingo card for 2025. But we shift. Once again, if you're in business, you can't really complain for too long. You can get frustrated, and don't get me wrong, it's frustrating sometimes to be in the scenarios, but I think that Pikachu or anybody else that's in business for a little bit doing Pokemon stuff or doing any kind of business knows you have to adjust and shift, and we're always going to adjust and shift. If the market shifts and it becomes impossible to get profit, well, now I'm gonna shift and start trying to make my money elsewhere, which may be going to the graded cards, because let's be 100% honest, I've got piles of cards that I just haven't dealt with. I haven't put them for sale. They've been I've always said they're just kind of a nest egg. I was sitting on a bunch of Illustrator rares, and I'm kind of going through them right now. We're just all these cards right here are just sitting on my desk, and I got to go through them and find out if there's any value in grading these cards. If I just want to sell them, I mean, I've been sitting on like gold Palkias that have been sitting here for months. They're just sitting around because they've been a nest egg. I know that they're decent cards. They're all going up in value. They've been going up in value. It's just I don't need that kind of money at this point in time. So now I'm working through them. I've got time. I don't have enough money for this. So now I'm going to start moving another direction and doing these things. Let's see. So we went through that. Professor Oak. He's from Rice Lake, which is awesome. John, he's got Pokemon is going to save GameStop, but it's going to dilute the graded market. PSA 9s are valued lower than raw on modern. Yeah, and that's a fact. Overall, we're getting a lot more people in there that are taking graded cards. And that was one concern that I did have about GameStop getting into it, was it made it more economical for people that maybe don't necessarily understand grading completely and just have some cards, and they're going to take a shot at it because it was $16.99. It was easy to get in. You could really quickly get them out there, and they were fast turnaround time, because even my other ones are all 40 days out and they're coming back. So I'm going to be about 40 days out on these next two as well. So they're holding the time frame of 35 to 40 days, and that's not bad for turnaround time. That's the same as what I would get going through PSA itself. So once again, you're not slowing down the turnaround time. It's a little bit cheaper because I don't have to buy a membership to get the discounted value, or I don't have to send 50 cards in to get it. which made it absolutely an opportunity for people who may have never gotten in on grading now getting in on grading, because they can send 2 cards in. They can test the waters. They can go, okay, I'm going to test the waters and see if my grading skill is there. And if they get back a 9, okay, now I know not to send that type of card. Or they start to analyze what they're doing. And that's just it. It could dilute the market quite a bit. And I do 100% think that that's an option of what could happen. Going down. Jayden, thank you so much for joining in. News from the wow, why can't I talk? News from TCG Player Convention is that Surging, Obsidian Flame, Temporal Forces, Paldean Fates are getting a print wave. So yeah, I have not heard of Paldean Fates. So I haven't heard about that one. I do know Obsidian Flames I hadn't heard of either, but I had heard from MJ or from Southern Hobby that it was going to be Surging, Temporal, Twilight Masquerade. We're getting a reprint or a wave. So they're getting a wave. Oh, and Prismatic. Prismatic is getting a wave as well. So they're getting a wave of ETBs for Prismatic that they know of. They are getting a wave of Surging Sparks. It sounds like Surging Sparks is going to be booster box and sleeve blisters primarily, maybe some ETBs. Same thing with Temporal Forces and also Twilight Masquerade. So I did not hear of Obsidian Flame. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe TCG Player knows something that MJ doesn't and doesn't that Southern Hobby doesn't. I have not talked to my ACD account manager for a little bit. I just told him let me know if he's got any product coming in, and I have not heard boo. So I don't know where that's at, but once again, it's all over the place sometimes for what we're hearing. I'm going by what Southern Hobby's telling me, which is it's going to be Temporal Forces, Twilight Masquerade, Surging, and Prismatic Evolutions ETBs. So those are the ones that I know for sure are said by distributors. So those are reprint waves that we know are coming at this point. I don't know about Obsidian. I have not heard of that or Paldean Fates. I haven't heard of either one of those come from a distributor yet. Could be. I mean, maybe TCG Player could be right. I don't know for sure. So I talked to Pikachu about that one. Pikachu says 9 p.m. Central Time. So everybody mark your calendar, 9 p.m. Central Time on Saturday for Alex. So he's got Alex, Palatown, Crystal, Leonhardt will be on in the next few weeks. A lot of great conversations coming over these next few weeks. That's awesome. So yeah, that's gonna be really exciting. So definitely gonna have to watch your channel a little close and make sure that I hit that. I know I've got the follow button stuff on it, but I'm going to make sure that I hit the notify again, because I noticed some of my notifies went off, so I want to make sure I do that, because I do want to catch. I'm really interested in Alex and Leonhardt. I'm actually all three of them. Leonhardt would be a really interesting conversation as well. Antonio, I heard that Magic will find with the Final Fantasy set will probably be scalped, since the collection boxes will all have serialized. Yes. And I've been waiting for my distributor, because I can't get it through Southern Hobby. This is why you keep some of the other ones open, is because it gives you the opportunity to potentially jump in on some of these Magic the Gathering sets. So they have not come. I have not seen the pre-orders for them up yet. I was looking, because I can still get Lord of the Rings, Jump Pack boosters. Yeah. So we got which one was the pre-release? So here's the newest set right here. I mean, I can pretty much get any Magic set that I want. That's not really a issue. I'm looking to see, is that... Let's see. Because I'm going to have to check and see. I don't see the pre-release on this one, but I'll have to take a look on that for sure, because I want to make sure I get some of that with the serialized cards, or serialized cards. So definitely something that I want to try and get a little bit for the stock, because I think that that's going to do really well for streaming as well. People are going to have a blast chasing that particular set, because of the fact that it is going to have serialized cards. Anytime Magic does serialized cards, they do really well when people are on chase like that. Antonio says, I think now there are more people getting Pokemon from distribution, that it seems like there are less, but it's the same. Well, there's more people getting Pokemon from distribution. And it does, yeah, you're right. Okay, I get what you're saying now. But basically, Pokemon's getting the exact same. So, and that's what the distributors have told me. I've heard this both from ACD, I've heard this from MJ Holding, and I've heard it from Southern Hobby, that they got the exact same amount of product. There's just more hands taking out of the pot. I mean, realistically, more people. So your card shops are buying more. They're trying to get more allocation because instead of them taking 10 cases, they're ordering 15 or 20 because how quickly it's selling and the fact that they can't get more later. You have sports cards people demanding that they get high quantities of sets, so they're taking out of that pot. Yeah, we're just got more people taking. I mean, basically, that's what you got, basic supply and demand situation, where you have a set quantity, a set amount comes out every set, and now more people want that. It's disappearing faster. It's just getting spread out and disappears so much faster that it's not out for everybody to get. Agent Crypto question: what will be the catalyst to a bear declining Pokemon market? You're probably the one thing that's going to do it is massive reprint. There's two things that could do it right now that I could see causing a bear market to really rear its head up, and the number one is going to be a massive reprint. So if we see a massive reprint of the sets that Jayton and I have put on here so far that we're getting reprints of, if it comes back as a massive reprint, like we're talking Sword and Shield, Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Shining Fates, and Fusion Strike of reprint, where it's literally just buries everybody. That'll trigger a slight bear market. I don't think it'll be a long-term bear market, but it will trigger one because you're gonna push a portion of the hobby out. You're gonna push out sports collectors, you're gonna push out scalpers. So basically, you're gonna push out the two people that want only money. They're not gonna want to stay in here if there's not a huge dollar. If there isn't easy chicken tenders out here, chicken tendies as we like to say, they're not gonna stay. If sports cards doesn't think that there's easy tendies with that ETB, they aren't going to buy it. Plain and simple. They're only in here because they see easy money. And if there's easy money, they're in. If the money becomes more difficult to where you got to work, they're out. And then that's going to cause it so you're going to have a slight bear market because product is going to sit. You're not going to have to go fight scalpers and sports cards people at the store at Walmart to try and get product for people that are just everyday people opening cards. So that's going to open up a fact that it's going to cause the market to contract a little bit because that'll happen. The second thing that could happen at this point in time is a massive recess in the United States economy. That would be the second one that would do it. A massive recession in the United States economy in the first 2 quarters of 2025 here could cause a severe retraction and cause a bear market into the Pokemon TCG. People are going to choose life and living, keeping a roof over their head, over Pokemon and graded cards. So those are realistically right now the two things that I could see causing a bear market at this point in time. Other than that, I don't know if there's going to be anything that's going to have that effect currently on this market. Antonio, what do you think about tag for grading? I don't know. I haven't really looked at tag. I know a lot of people have been talking about it. I see a lot of it on TikTok now. People opening up tag cards. Personally, I'm just going to stick with PSA. CGC is a disaster, a garbage fire. BGS, I mean, unless you're going for black label, there's really no advantage to that. You're actually losing on a 10. A gold 10 doesn't have as much value as a PSA 10, but a black label, definitely, if you think you got a black label card, it's worth taking the shot. But once again, you're taking a big crapshoot on that to try and get that black label. Overall, I don't know about tag. I haven't really done much research into it. It's not really an option that I've even considered at this point in time. I did CGC during the last boom, and I will not go back to CGC. I'm actually very hesitant to kind of climb out of the PSA market at this point in time. Antonio says gold Palkia prices have gone up. They've gone up drastically. I actually looked at that card here this morning when I was going through things. And that gold Palkia, when I pulled that card's been sitting here for about 6 months. It was about $30 when I when I bought it, or when I pulled it out of a pack. It was like $30 raw, and now I'm just looking. So it went up to about 45 in September, and now it's up to like $85 for that card. So yeah, I mean it's just another one. I had it and it was gone. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Cards go up. overall. The other one I was just looking at that was on this one too was the Ninetales card. I had not realized that the Ninetales card had gone up as much as it had either. And I was looking at it because the PSA 10 on it is crazy value. So for an Illustrator Rare right now, that card went up to $35. I think at one point it was like less than $20 at one point. Yeah, back here. So it was like $12. I think I pulled that one. It was like $11, $12. I put it in a stack because I'm like, okay, cool. It's like $12 for that card. Not a big deal. Have you seen the price of this Ninetale card? This Ninetales card in a PSA 10. Someone in the chat put a guess at what that card is without looking. I'll come back to it. I'll let that one sit for a minute, just for a little bit of fun. Why don't you guys put in there what you think that card is going for as a PSA 10 currently in this market? Let's see. So we'll come back to that. Thoughts on Scarlet Violet ETBs already being $50. Once again, lack of product. It's not surprising. Same thing we saw in Sword and Shield. Same thing. This is identical to 2020, 2021. Vivid Voltage ETBs were $120. So actually they're behind based on where we are in 2020, 2021. So so let's see. Antonio, I saw shops that have nothing to do with cards are selling Pokemon cards. Yep. I'm seeing all, like I said, sports cards places, even in Eau Claire, that we never even sell Pokemon cards since the last boom, now have cards again. So yeah, it's just everybody's got cards. Everybody's buying these cards if they can get them. Joseph, thank you so much for joining. Good stuff, Andy. Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciated for that. Professor Oak, I've done 3 subs, about 60 cards through GameStop, and never had any issues at our location. I have not had any. They've made it through, and they've come. I mean, these ones haven't come back yet, but they've all made it to PSA. They've all stayed on time. Our GameStop seems. I know that I've talked to the manager there. He is very, very into Pokemon. Very, very exact on how he does things, which I think is a big factor. Is if the person that's doing it correctly, you're going to have success on this grading program. If you got stores that are number 1 larger or number 2, the manager's kind of sketchy. If they're selling cards that are product at MSR or at market pricing versus MSRP, that's probably going to be the stores that you're going to get caught where they're actually stealing your cards and losing them in the mail. Like I've heard people say that they put them in, supposedly have a FedEx tracking number, but when FedEx looks at them, they don't have the tracking number, which is interesting because I don't know how they would have a FedEx tracking number, because talking to our store manager now, Professor, I don't know if you actually talked to him, but he told me that they send them back to GameStop. So they put them in special bags, and these bags are, they put them in the top loader, or you put them into the protectors, the card savers. You get them all. He puts them together in a bag. He tapes them up nice and secure with bubble wrap, and then they're all stacked inside of a box, and then they're sent back to GameStop. They do not go back to. They do not send them directly. They come back. So. Yeah, Aaron's fantastic. I absolutely love Aaron. He's very, very precise on what he does, and he likes TCGs, which is a big factor too. He protects everybody's stuff really well. He documents things extremely well. So yeah, I really do think that that's an interesting thing on that part, that he does really, really good. Okay, so we're down to the other ones here. Antonio and Hitus both say 200 and 280. So Hitus is the closer one out of the two. And right now it's going for 320 right now, have been the recent sales. So yeah, it's been absolutely insane right now for that particular card. And there's a lot of sales on that card right now. So that card is functioning and moving a lot currently out there. So the last sale was 318 on eBay for that particular card in a PSA 10. And this card is moving a lot. Like, there are a lot of sales on this card right now. And in both the raw and the form. I mean, raw is going anywhere from $50 to $35 right now. So it's kind of crazy right now what we're seeing on these prices. Let's see. Hitus asks, do you think the new certs in PSA with the 45-55 centering grading will hold a premium over the older graded 10 certs? I feel like people will sell the fact that it's a newer cert. They tried. We've tried this before. PSA's kind of slightly changed their thing. And even PSA said in a statement that they've been at the 45-55 standard for quite a while. So just because they changed it on their website, it sounds like they've been doing that for quite a long period of time. So realistically, there's not going to be a huge change, and it's really going to be washed when it comes down to that. And I don't think it's going to make a big difference. I don't think that there's enough of a difference at a 45-55 scale compared to the 40-60 scale that they were at before. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be a big difference. I honestly don't think that people are going to notice that as much. Some people may try and sell it. They tried selling it when PSA did their last, kind of update. It wasn't anything crazy. They just did a slight update on I don't remember what they even changed. Yeah, I think it was just the stringency. The original cards, they were just trying to give a few tens out, and then they got stricter on it. So they were kind of laxing on their policy a little bit there. So like I've got where is it? I had it here someplace. There's a Venusaur I have laying around here, and that Venusaur was a perfect example. It's an old cert Venusaur, and by being an old cert Venusaur, basically it's got the old style labeling, and because it's such an old cert, it's down in the 2 series. Basically, they say that this card has less. It's technically, a lot of people push the fact it's got less value to it just because of the fact that it's old cert. But to be honest with you, when I list these things on eBay, they sell all the same. I've never seen an old cert card that I've picked up change when I sell them on eBay to be a lesser price. So it was something they push when it's coming out new. People are going to push it. They're going to say, "Ooh, this is new cert, tighter." You're going to hear all the keywords are going to come out when it comes down to that. And realistically, I think it'll probably be something at first, but it'll wash out pretty quickly. I think people aren't going to really care about it. So we're down to the last couple questions, and I am going to call it quits here, guys, in just a couple minutes. So I'm going to answer this last one for Agent Crypto, which I don't know what he's looking for here. Thoughts on Hidden Fates at 250? It is what it is. I don't know. Are you looking for something specific on that? Or are you, I guess I don't know what you're wondering. I mean, yeah, that's where it is currently right now. Do I think it's underpriced? I don't know. It's kind of lost some hot thunder over the last few years or over the last year. It's still steadily going up. I mean, in August it was 180. Now we're crossing 250, so it's getting some decent traction. It's continuing to move the right direction. So overall, I like Hidden Fates. It's one of my favorite sets. So I wish it would come down in price personally, so I can get some more of it. But I'd like to open some packs. But at that price range, I'm not going to open packs either. The funny thing is that what is it? The disparity between like the tins and the packs. Let me look at it real quick, because you can actually get packs. The price per pack is actually, so a pack is $25 right now. So if you want to have some fun and get some Hidden Fates and get pretty much a free pack out of each one, is to go buy the Charizard, Gyarados, and Raichu tin, because there's 4 of them in the tin, and the Hidden Fates packs right now are $26 right now, but their tins are $70 right now. So if you want to have some fun disparity things, that would be a great way to just pick up a free pack of Hidden Fates. So yeah, I know that there's a disparity between that and the pricing of those, because actually the pricing per pack is right on, almost right on for the ETB. The tins are sitting kind of in Lala Weird Land, where you can actually get a free pack if you buy the tins right now. And if I remember right, too, the Gyarados GX box and the Raichu box are the same way. If I'm trying to pull it up here real quick, but I'm trying to remember for sure. But I'm pretty sure they only want the Charizard GX box it doesn't apply to. But the Gyarados GX, the Raichu GX, and all 3 of the tins right now, if you purchase that, you literally get a free pack of Hidden Fates that you could turn around and break open and sell. So it's interesting. The disparities sometimes in this hobby are very interesting, how that always lines up and how that works. So, and these are little things that you can find. So do I think that the tins are going to catch up in price? Yeah, people are going to start buying them now. They're going to start ripping them for the free pack. And when they get the free pack, the price is going to go up, because there'll be less of them on the market. Same thing with the boxes. All these things kind of change. Do I think that the ETBs are overpriced compared to the tins? No, I think that the price is probably right where it should be for it being 10 packs of Hidden Fates. So if you look at the price per pack, getting $26 per pack, which, interesting thing. Some people think that the ETB should be more money. And I've heard this discussion and this argument here recently. And it was someone from Australia, which I thought was a very interesting argument and something to think about, which I think is kind of funny. It doesn't, I shouldn't say funny. It's just one of those things that's like, why do you think that way? He says that the packs should be equal to or less than the ETBs because the ETBs have the stained glass bird promo in it. So basically, his thought process is that you got the stained glass bird promo in that set. By doing that, by default, the ETBs should be more expensive than the packs themselves, and the packs should be cheaper because of that. And let me know what you think about that. I think that that's a really interesting way of looking at it. I don't necessarily agree with that because, once again, to me, I always look at it, as I've said before, it's that whole pyramid of things that are really, really interesting sometimes when it comes down to that. Because a lot of times when products become more expensive, they're harder to sell. Are you, for fun, more likely to spend $26 on something, or are you more likely to pay $250 for fun? And that's just it. If you're not looking at it from a business opportunity, if you're not breaking it down for that, for the general public, is someone more willing to freely buy a $26 pack? So are they more freely to go and just go and buy a pack of Hidden Fates right off the shelf? So if I have this right now and I put an ETB on my bench and I put these packs for sale out of the ETB on the bench, are they more likely to buy one pack for $27, or are they more likely to buy one ETB at $250? And the fact is that people are more likely to buy a pack at $26, $27, $28 than they are to pay $250 for a full ETB. Most people don't understand that the promo has value. Most people don't even know what's in a lot of these ETBs. And that's where a lot of times, we've talked about it before, there's this surface level where people of understanding. A lot of people just go surface deep. They like cards, they open packs, they really don't care. If it's got value to it, cool. We're after illustrated rares, we're after artwork. We like just opening packs. It's like they're gambling that they can logically put into it, saying it's okay for me to gamble because of this. But the majority of people are just surface deep. They're not breaking this down going, oh, well, I can buy this ETB, so I can buy this pack for $28, or I can get 10 of them in this box for $250. A lot of times the higher dollar amount will push people away faster than a single pack that's more expensive, just because of the fact of that pricing disparity. You put them on the counter, you're going to sell more single packs at a higher price than selling 10 packs in an ETB. It's just how people are. It's human nature at its finest, and that's exactly where you're going to see those things. Let's see. My local LCS always says selling per packs always more profitable and easier. Yep. And more liquidable. Yeah, exactly. They're more liquid. Once again, it comes down to the liquidity of an item. The more expensive it becomes, the more solid it becomes. For example, that Bubble Mew I have for sale, it isn't selling very fast. Not a lot of people have $900 right now to go throw on a Bubble Mew. You're looking at a smaller market. Now, if I were to go and sell that card raw for $350, it'd probably been gone. But because it's graded as a 10, so I have one for sale right now on eBay and on Drip. That is a PSA 10 Bubble Mew that I'm trying to sell. This has been sitting around for 3 weeks now. I've had offers. I've had people trying to get deals on it. But realistically, selling it at $950 to $900 has been very difficult compared to an off-center Bubble Mew that I had that I picked up for $150. I just sold it for $325 and I listed it a week ago. So it's gone. The graded card that's a proven 10 is not. It's just, once again, it comes down to price. People just can't really afford sometimes to go to that higher item. It becomes more solid. It becomes more of a fixed item rather than a liquid item because of the fact that the price just gets too high. So something to consider, something to think about when you're looking at products, especially like we talk about Evolving Skies. The higher that booster box gets, yeah, the price is up there, but the amount of people that are actually able to purchase that sometimes becomes a much smaller pool. Why? I think I'm trying to remember now, is Evolving Skies falling into that right now? I have not checked Evolving Skies. At one point it was close, and then I think the booster boxes broke away again. So let me take a look real quick on the sealed product for here. So right now, a booster box is $1,321. But there are a lot of loose packs out there of Evolving Skies too. So I mean that's the other factor. So yeah, we're nowhere near. I don't think we're anywhere near the disparity of that one. So because like a single pack right now is selling for $22.50 right now times 36. So yeah, I mean the disparity, 36 packs is a lot less. But the single packs have been a lot easier to find. It's not like Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates is only in ETB's tins in their product. Evolving Skies was found in those Pokeballs. They were knockout boxes. They were in tins. They were in C21 tins. I mean, they were everywhere. So the availability of the single packs on there, it's really not a good comparison. But Paldean Fates is another one. I have not looked at Paldean. It seems like this disparity happens a lot on like specialty sets, just because the products don't show up all over the place, which is a big factor when it comes down to why that disparity kind of happened. All right, so I just saw Antonio put on here. People right now want raw cards because they think they can profit if they grade them themselves, and that is true as well. You know, rather than grabbing the guarantee, they would rather just get the take the shot at it. The problem is that it's a lot harder than some people think to actually be able to pull that off. I mean, a lot of people think it's easy and that you can do it fairly simple. Getting 10 sometimes can be very difficult, especially because it's very easy to miss the simplest things when it comes down to it. So, I mean, you're at $9 right now, so yeah, you're nowhere near right now. The booster or the ETBs are a lot higher than there's 11. Remind me, is there 11 packs in a ETB, or is that 10? Because right now they're going for $8.75. If it's 11, then it's right on. It's actually a little bit higher for the packs, and if it's 10, I don't remember. Been too long since I've gotten a Paldean Fates. How many packs in Paldean Fates ETB? 9. So 9 we're a little bit behind. So it's close. It's a lot closer than like a standard set, but it's not quite there. It's a little bit off. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you everybody for joining me here on Tuesday night. Once again, greatly appreciated to have you guys. It's always nice to have you. I want to put in my little plug. Guys, if you want to support the channel, it's always greatly appreciated to do like Heidi's does there and support the channel. I'm trying to get 30 people by the end of the year to get me a cup of coffee every month or every day of the month for work. So if you want to help me out on that quest this year, please consider hitting that subscription to the channel and supporting us when it comes down to the channel itself. So other than that, guys, thank you everybody for joining. Greatly appreciated for you guys all be here. Also, I always put another plug. Check out the merch down below too. It's another great way to support the channel and have some fun getting some nice merch. We've got the Gengar Made You Do It. We've got the It's Always Great in the Northwoods, and also just the standard shirt down below in hoodie and t-shirt. So consider checking out the link for the merch as well. It's greatly appreciated to help out the channel and support a little bit. As always, thank you everybody for joining us here this evening, and hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of the week and have a great weekend coming up, and we will see you next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central Time here.